off top, Ben Franklin, Rocky, the Bell, cheese and steaks, Gritty. I side with Santa. What the is water? I don't know if I'm missing anything. Oh, I love Abbott Elementary though. Wednesdays, 9:30 ABC. Shout out Benny Siegel. He's good with me. Jared
Roots?
McCain. Oh, yeah, the Roots, absolutely. Questlove, Black Thought, absolutely. Kevin Hart's pretty funny. The Parking Authority ain't.
Will Smith?
Meh. Yeah, okay. Fresh Prince was dope. Only because he moved to L.A. Play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
All right, welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show. I'm joined by that lovely voice of support. I don't know if you want to really get in on this beef, but that's Joel Anderson of The Ringer. I love him and his new contributions to The Ringer writing and on podcasts. We're always joined by Charlie. The Vanilla Snack is here. But I don't know if you know this or not, Joe. You probably do because the weirdest things get popping on the internet. But Philly is really mad at me today.
I've been made aware. They're really sensitive, man. You know, it's being in between New York and DC, and I think it's sort of like an inferiority complex thing, right? That's always kind of what's fueling that, I think.
I'd be pissed too if I was deemed too crappy to be the nation's capital, and they was like, "Nah, give me that. You can't have that no more. You can't have that no more."
Wow, but man, I actually, it's sad that we got to do this because I love Philly, man. Like it's nice to stop through. You know, I love a cheesesteak. You know, the like you said, the Roots. Beanie Siegel for like maybe 2 years was my favorite rapper.
Ooh,
you know?
Absolutely, the truth.
You know,
I did.
Alan Iverson. We're a big Alan Iverson, Jared McCain podcast.
The Michael Vick revitalization, that was great. It's sad that
the T.O. reclamation project.
Oh yeah,
that's another one of Dominique's enemies.
T.O. is not my enemy.
I
He's not my enemy.
Okay, I forgot.
T.O. and I can't be enemies because he pretended like he didn't remember when I locked him down. I strapped him up.
You guys
I had him in a seatbelt.
You guys were the Mad Men meme of "I feel bad for you," and he says, and John Hamm's like, "I don't think about you at all."
What side are you on, Charlie? What the hell are you on? Secret Philadelphian?
No. First of all, Joel Embiid's a historic loser. This is great. I'm glad you're finally on my side. And do you want to talk about Jalen Hurts? You said it was pretty because we can talk about it. I call him the caveat. He's the caveat.
Joel, we'll get to that in a second because there are some people who have no idea. Probably people who do not live online have no idea why we have this faux beef with Philadelphia. Anyway, Joel, what were you going to say?
Well, I think that's unfair to Joel Embiid. You know, I mean, a historic
he ain't
loser.
from Philly.
I think that we got everything we could get out of Joel Embiid. We expect he'd have been like Joe Barry Carroll, like just racked with injuries if he came along in the 80s. Yeah, we got a lot out of him. So
you're right. He could be Joel Barely Cares. That's exactly right.
I got to be honest. Like, Charlie's been harboring this beef for Joel Embiid. He's trying to slide in a previous beef into the current situation. Leave Joel out of it.
Yeah, where did
he
this
ain't
come
do
from,
nothing but try to give away our gold medal. That's all.
You didn't need to be playing, but go ahead.
True.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For those who don't know, so this morning on Get Up or yesterday morning when you're listening to this, I made what I thought was a harmless joke about how Jalen Hurts is benefiting from pretty privilege, which he absolutely is a very attractive man. He's like Jimmy Garoppolo if Jimmy Garoppolo was good. And of course, Jalen Hurts is an outstanding quarterback, but he be playing into his looks. And I just made a little joke. ESPN pumped it out over the interwebs, and apparently nobody in Philly got a sense of humor. Your stupid bell too. What is that? That's not an attraction. Ain't nobody excited about see a broken bell.
Have you
seen
like
bells?
Have you been to the bell? Have you done the? What about the love little sculpture thing that they have? You know, that's
nonsense. Nonsense. It's tiny. It's a tiny little sculpture that says love and like your city hates everyone and your parking authority is terrible and your mass transit sucks.
Counterpoint: National Treasure 2. Excellent movie, all based around finding clues in Philadelphia.
I've never seen that movie. It's a Nicolas Cage vehicle, correct?
It is. It's the best. Highly recommend it. I've been waiting for a decade for National Treasure 3.
I have always have always liked Philly. I always say I've never met a person I didn't like from Philly. I always thought they were kind of cool. But I will go back. I got beef with them going back to the 85 NCAA final because, like, Villanova had no business beating Georgetown, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, John Thompson should have 2 national championships. Like, that Villanova team, that was...
You have stepped into another one of Charlie's very concerning beefs with John Thompson randomly.
He should have 3 national championships. You know, the legend of Michael Jordan started with that game-winning jump shot. Imagine if John Thompson hadn't said, we're going to set the tone by having Patrick Ewing goaltend on the first 10 points of that game. Do you think it's a good coaching decision to spot Michael Jordan, James Worthy, and Sam Perkins at 10 points to start a game? Can you imagine if that happened
I gotta be honest. That's a real Sirianni type of move right there. That seems like something Nick Sirianni would do.
That is sort of real. And I mean, you could also, I mean, if you wanted to lean into that beat further, you could say John Thompson was so bad as the Olympics coach that they were like, okay, we got to stop this college stuff. We got to start bringing some real professionals to this. We got to change this whole outfit around because this is enough. But
what is a John? I mean, it don't mean nothing and it means everything. Stop it. I don't remember who brought this to my attention first, but like fan bases love to have someone to hate and something to be mad about. And Philly's team is probably the best team at football right now. And so no one's doing anything but saying positive things about them. And last week they created their own controversy and then answered themselves by throwing the ball. And I think that what it comes down to, the reason why they've jumped on me is nobody hates them, and they need somebody to hate, and they have no reason to say us against the world. And they found one thing where I was joking about, well, I wasn't joking about how handsome Jalen is. He's obviously a handsome guy, but obviously I was trying to be funny, and they got all up in arms because they don't have nobody to hate. Their team is too good. That's the problem.
Right. I agree. I'm also like, don't you think it just kind of, it pokes a little bit at their insecurity? They know that Jalen, I mean, it kind of, it came out like they know what AJ Brown and Devontae be talking about, and that text chat that and it's like, hey man, every time Jalen Hurts has been the quarterback of a team, passing does kind of seem to be one of the problems. He can have spurts, he can have a good. I'm just thinking that's the thing about the game of being Pittsburgh. If you could do it all the time, why don't you do it then? That's what y'all wanted to see. Okay, yes, continue to do that.
It does feel a little bit like when Lions fans chant Jared Goff, like when they used to go chant Jared Goff, like they're running to his defense when it's like,
hey, Jared Goff.
Hey, yeah, Jared Goff balled last week. It's like they gave him an MVP chant. They gave Jared Goff an MVP chant at the beginning of the game when Josh Allen is on the field. It's like, relax, guys. Yeah. Like he's really good and he's managing the hell out of this system. But he did sit down at that press conference like he putting up Joe Burrow numbers out here, like he Lamar Jackson in the flesh.
Here's the thing about Jalen Hurts. He's obviously exceeded our expectations. Like we didn't, like he got much more accurate. He had the season where he outplayed Patrick Mahomes for most of a Super Bowl. He was second in the MVP. But the further we get from that season, the more that seems like the outlier. And we thought he was going to follow the Josh Allen path of getting more and more accurate, more and more explosive throwing the ball. But now he's become, okay, a couple weeks ago, I joked that he was handsome Daniel Jones. Too far. Too far. Philly, I'll eat that one. Too far. But
you only brought that up in order to piss them off because no one noticed, no one cared.
Yeah, well,
you want them to know that you said he was.
If I'm involved, like, I open my Instagram and there are all these comments of just Jalen Hurts gifs and calling me a sicko. So now you know what? I'm going to lean in. But
I like it. You got my back. If you in the beef, you gonna get in the beef.
That's exactly right.
And let them barbs fly.
But what I want to call him now is the caveat because we've been hearing all these things on NFL Live explaining why Jalen Hurts can be good enough to win a Super Bowl. And they're like, he's accurate if he's protected and the first read is open. Okay, well, I'd hope so. You are an NFL quarterback. You have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and Saquon Barkley. And so it's going to be the caveat's always Philly can win the Super Bowl if Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts get along and everything goes right. That's the caveat. That's who Jalen Hurts is for this football team right now.
They are the best team in football, and it's like I have picked them to win. They have no weakness. Like they have to win the Super Bowl, and so now I'm in a position where I kind of also want to laugh at Philly fans now, but it's not all of them. It's just the ones that are on the internet with nothing better to do.
But here's the thing: you're right. Even if they win the Super Bowl, you're still right. So I do have a take that I want you to tell me if it's completely why I'm right or why I'm wrong. And
they snowballed Santa.
Yeah.
Man.
It's December. You can't snowball Santa.
Michael Irvin was laying out there. We didn't know if he was going to get up or not. We didn't know if he was going to get up or not.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
They acted like they was happy.
Yeah, man. I mean, when it was cold, they was cold. When it was cold, they was cold. Yeah.
A statue that say love.
Man.
Stop it. Anyway, I'm sorry, Charlie. Go ahead.
At least Jalen Hurts got out of the second round. So the take I got, and this is obviously, it's coming off the Eagles a little bit, but like, I think we can all agree they probably have the best roster top to bottom in the NFC, and the Lions have been what feels like a juggernaut for a lot of the season. But you look at this Packers team right now, and they have the third in DVOA. All of the receivers are finally healthy. They've only played 2 offensive line combinations the entire year. Their defense has performed above expectations, I think is fair to say. I think that the Packers are the best team in the NFC. Can you guys tell me why I'm right or wrong?
All right. So, you said a bunch of things that you knew would get my attention. So the stability of their offensive line, that I really respect. Like we talk about all the time. When I pick teams that I think are going to contend, I start with good offensive lines. And then it's also health. And so that offensive line helps. You also need a high-end quarterback. Sure helps to get you out of just about any situation. They have that. And a defense that's playing well. They have all the components. However, they also have a quarterback that thinks he can make every single throw. And that's a pro and a con. It's a high end, and then there's also the turnovers as a result. I'll let Joel go before I come with my final verdict, because I'm thinking about the other teams like Minnesota. It's another team that I think is getting slept on, and obviously the Eagles.
Well, I mean, obviously the Packers are a really good team, and they could emerge as the NFC champion. But isn't the reason that we think that the Lions and Vikings better than them because they've lost to them? They played those games and they lost to all of those teams. They get another shot against Minnesota, but they've lost to them. And again, like the season, it evolves. Like a team does not, they played the Eagles in week 1. Like that's a totally different time now. These teams have evolved since then, but I got to think that the results have to matter at some point. And these teams have, the Lions have looked how they've looked. Now maybe they will fall apart down the stretch here, but I mean, it ain't like Jair Alexander's coming back. You know what I mean? So they're still, they still have got some ways to go. And to your point, Dominique, I like Jordan Love a lot, but do I trust him in a tight spot? Like that playoff loss last year, I was like, man, I don't know, bro. So again, maybe we'll see him in another one, but
during Toyota-thon, Jordan Love, 3,200 yards, 26 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Not during Toyota-thon, 3,800 yards, 29 touchdowns, 25 interceptions. Now's the time to trust him.
Absolutely ridiculous. Toyota's not paying you or Jordan Love. This is a ridiculous thing that people keep talking about, and they not getting no money for it. Does he drive a Toyota?
I was wondering what that about Toyota-thon. What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. Mina brought it to my attention, and it's just like an arbitrary thing that people have decided marks
they advertise
the beginning.
With y'all?
I don't know.
Okay.
They do. Well, they did for Mina. But
that's what this is about.
Well,
we help Mina get a couple bucks, I guess. Good for her.
But no, I mean, the thing about it is the team is totally rounding into form, and I'm glad you brought up the Vikings. The Vikings are an interesting case too, where they've been sort of written off as not being in that same tier, and they really kind of should be, because I don't really see the huge separation. Okay, the Lions, they probably were the best team, but 14 defenders on IR, that is astronomical. It just makes it so hard to trust them, no matter how much Dan Campbell talks about it. And then if you're looking at these elite teams, and it's going to now sound like I'm piling on Jalen Hurts, but if you're just picking coach and quarterback combos, isn't that the one that you trust the least of Sirianni and Hurts compared to Love, LaFleur, or Darnold with KOC and Flores? That's elite coaching in Minnesota. Plus they've got.
Well, I mean, I think so if you're going to start including coordinators, then you go. Then you have to go to Kellen Moore and Fangio along with Jalen Hurts. And Hurts and Sirianni did get to a Super Bowl. So that should get you some trust. So I wouldn't put them all the way in the back. But to your point, I will say the coaching in Minnesota is pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Through the course of a game, I watched the alterations that they make on offense and defense, and they have a unit or a team that I think is comfortable in a bunch of different ways. And so many of these teams have such glaring flaws or limitations in how they can play and win. And I think the Vikings can run the ball to win. I think they can air it out to win. I think they can quick game it to win. And defensively, they can blitz you. They can play soft in zone and get one-on-ones with their pass rushers like Grenard. So, like, I actually do think this team is really flexible. And again, the limiting factor is how good Sam Darnold can be consistently, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, this is not an issue of how much better these teams are. They all could win. Like, and we know in a 1-game sample, anything could happen. Like it could be wet somewhere, that right? And that could be the difference. But I just think the thing is like people have not seen Sam Darnold in anything approximating an important NFL game yet. And that's something that I think people need to see before they start talking about, well, Minnesota's better than somebody, because I want to see Sam Darnold in a high leverage situation where when he's got to make a play under pressure. And, if he does it, then great. Then And then maybe next year we'll be like, why aren't people talking about the Vikings as the best team in the NFC? But right now, it didn't feel right because it's Sam Darnold,
The production has been leaps and bounds better than a lot of quarterbacks this year with Darnold, and we keep waiting for him to turn into a pumpkin. And part of it hasn't. We do trust the defense. We trust Flores and the defense. Yep. They can do. I mean, Domonique has done an awesome thing on the way that they're able to use simulated pressures so it feels like they blitz more than they actually do. But one of the things that's interesting about the offense to me is actually the return of Jordan Addison and what it's done for that team, because this is a point from when we started this podcast 2 years ago. One of the first things Domonique said on the show was that I actually think having two good receivers is the new X. And this is where the NFL is going. And we had seen it with, at that point, the Chase and Higgins and a lot of other teams, like Debo and Ayuk, were loading up. This is when it was all happening. And
also don't forget AJ and Devontae.
AJ and Devontae, a perfect example. But Addison's been this really underrated player. And he's small. And he probably got underdrafted because of that. And then last year, people were talking about his TD luck. And then that could regress. The year before that, people are like, oh, he's playing with Caleb Williams. Like, yeah, his numbers are inflated in this Lincoln Riley offense. The year before that, it's like, oh, yeah, sure. He won the Biletnikoff, but was it because of Kenny Pickett's breakout? And it's like, everywhere he goes, he plays elite football, and he's come back, and this offense has optionality. And one of the tenets of this show is trying to pick teams that have a lot of ways to beat you. And the Vikings have a lot of ways to beat you on defense and offense when they have all of their people healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I think you actually hit on something about Jordan Addison, because nobody has ever. I mean, what a low wattage Biletnikoff award winner he is. You know what I mean? But I think, again, it's purely because, first of all, he started at Pitt. Yeah. Right. And people just don't. It takes a while for you to believe in the pit of it all. Right. But yeah, he looks like a small dude. He doesn't have like outstanding physical gifts. And so it's easy to sort of overlook him. But like the production is really hard to argue with the production at this point.
You talked about some of the adages of this show. There's one that I have not unveiled yet, but I always think, and for whatever reasons, I've been hesitant to push back when people say you got to have a bunch of different receivers that do a bunch of different things. I've always hated that. And this is my own personal bias sneaking in as a cornerback. You know what I care about? Guys that can go to the crib in one play. Like, I don't give a damn about your big possession receiver. Go ahead, convert this 3rd and 6. Whatever, we're going to line it up again. Like, I get why people would think that matters, but you know what? That's what tight ends are for. I would like as many people that can blow the roof off this as I possibly can have on the field at any time. And I think that's part of what's special about this offense is, yeah, you can lean over to help with Justin Jefferson.
Hall of Famer. Hall of Fame receiver Jefferson is unstoppable.
Future Hall of Famer Justin Jefferson. You can obviously lean over to help him. And the reason why I think it matters to have another guy that can break your defense is like, it's the cost-benefit analysis. Like, okay, if we're going to put someone over top of Justin and eliminate his big play potential, what are we setting ourselves up for on the other side? Is it an 8-yard out? Okay, live to fight another day. If it's Jordan Addison, it could be a 40-yard gain. And that to me is like, if I were ever to build a receiving core, before I started worrying about guys that was going to move the chains, I want guys that's going to scare the safeties. I want guys that's going to intimidate the corners. And if we need to move the chains, I'm going to sell a go and stop. That'll work much more than having a big body dude. I think that's one of the things that jumps out to me, this team. And with Sam Darnold's like arm talent, no one's ever argued against how good his arm is. Like when he's on, he can hit every throw at every spot of the field. And I think that's what makes their receiving core pretty scary and makes the running game more impressive. That play action threat is something.
Yeah, Dominique's like, I would have been all on Art Monk's. You know what I'm saying? Like Art Monk didn't have for me.
I mean, if we got the lineup of Alvin Harper and Michael Irvin, I ain't talking no trash. I'm just saying in general, I get who I am more concerned with is the people that's running by folk. That's what I got concerned about. Strike up the band. Guys that's going to get me in the top 10 in the wrong way. I'm not talking about guys that's going to move the chains. But anyway.
What about, did Anquan Bolden ever cook you? Because he ran a 4.7.
Yeah, Anquan Bolden was hell to play against.
Really?
But he wasn't running past you.
Wait, say more. What made him hell? What made Anquan Bolden hell?
Because Anquan Bolden was a tight end. He was strong and big and physical. The first time I played against Anquan Bolden in college was like, he didn't put up big numbers. It's just like he would try to fight you on every snap. I might have told Charlie this story before. First time I played against Anquan Bolden, we lost. He was at Florida State, and he just like physically beat me up the whole game, and I hated it. He didn't make many plays, but I hated it. I didn't get to play against him again until my rookie year in the NFL. He was in Arizona. I went down there with a point to prove, and I tried to fight Anquan Bolden on every single snap. Sooner or later, like somewhere in the second half, he was like, what are you doing? Like, looked at me like I was stupid, and it just like it snapped me out of it. I'm like, I'm get some get back. Okay. And then because in the NFL, Anquan Bolden didn't play like that. He played like a receiver because all that other foolishness was completely unnecessary. But yeah, it was funny because I thought I was like, man, he ain't gonna punk me. I'm gonna fight this dude every single snap. I think I might have I don't think I got a flag in it, but I just remember trying to go after him. It was ridiculous.
Bad man.
Yeah, he is, boy.
Bad. Wait, with his jaw broken? Something like that? Or nose broken? Yeah.
It was like, his whole face.
Whole face.
I mean, I wanted to fight him with cameras around and referees and flags. I wasn't going to go wait outside the bus for Anquan Bolden. We were teammates in Baltimore eventually, and I recounted that. That was how I wanted to fight him. He was like, oh, yeah. He remembered the college in that game. Did I tell you about the time I played against Calvin Johnson in college?
No.
By then, I was like one of the better players in the conference, and he was a freshman, and he was big. And I mean, it's not much of a story, but I just remember thinking, like, okay, big dude, a lot of hype, we'll take care of it. He didn't put up crazy numbers on me, in part because the quarterback was Reggie Ball, I believe.
Reggie Ball.
You remember Reggie Ball?
Oh, my God, man, I remember Reggie Ball.
it was like the first pass they threw to him is like, I at this point didn't really respect how fast he was, because I was like, yeah, I heard he was fast, but I mean, like, speed's kind of my thing. So I sat on a dig, and he ran it. And I covered the hell out of that dig. And Reggie Ball threw it, I don't know, 11 feet in the air. And he went all the way up the ladder, caught it, and landed on my chest. And I had to get up and act like I wasn't hurt. I was like, okay, I guess he is pretty good. But yeah, I think we played pretty well in that game. We might have lost that game, actually. That was my senior year. We weren't good my senior year.
What they say about they had a picture of of Calvin Johnson standing next to DK Metcalf, and they're like Chargers look like a phantom until a phantom show up or something like that.
Out there looking like a 300.
Just all over, just like, nah, bro. Yeah, it's a little different.
Nah, he falls in the category of players that make other players say, what the hell? It's like Courtney Brown. It's like, Yeah, Myles Garrett, obviously Lane
Julius
Johnson
Peppers.
comes up. Oh, Peppers.
Oh, yeah.
I had some boys that played against Peppers in college, and they were like,
you got one right here.
Oh, yeah, okay, see, there you go. And they were just like, yo, like, there's nothing. They had never seen nothing like Julius Peppers on the field before. It was like,
So first of all, thank heavens that I was on defense. It was, and I was redshirting at that point. It's before we burned the red shirt, but it was my very first game in college, and we beat them my freshman year, but I went to school early and went through spring ball and like feeling good, and then did camp. Like, I feel like I'm a real football player. Then we walked out there and I was like, who is that? Like, I knew who he was, but it's different when you see him because, and this goes back to the argument or the conversation we had early in the year. I forgot who it was. Who said that basketball players were better athletes?
Oh, it was Austin Rivers. Yeah. Austin
yeah.
Rivers,
And I abandoned my football brethren and was like, yeah, they are. If any of us could hoop, we would go do that. And like what you saw from Julius Peppers is the type of size and athleticism that we would marvel at. Like, we don't have that in football. Like, we got guys who are 6 foot and athletic. To be 6'5" and 6'6", 6'7". Oh yeah,
6'7"?
I'm working my way up. I was talking to all basketball players, 6'7" and move like a scat back. Oh.
He got like a 10 or 11-year-old son. I follow him on Instagram. Out there, I was like, oh no. It's like, oh no, it's happening again.
He made another one?
Yeah, he made another.
He made another one?
A couple, yeah. I was like, here you go again.
You know, watch out, my son is 11.
Oh. Hey man, there's all kind of ways. There's all different kind of ways.
We gonna hit these books, boy. We gonna hit these books. That's what we gonna do. That's, I don't know, Joe. You follow college a lot more closely than I do, but when we see the drafts, and Charlie and I have talked about this, NFL and NBA drafts, and probably baseball too, I just don't pay as close attention. The days of my mama was a teacher and my daddy was in the military, those are gone.
That's it.
It is all like my mom was a volleyball player, a swimmer, a soccer player, and my dad was a D1 linebacker. And it's like, and sometimes he was in the NFL. Like, it's done for people like me.
Even an old small dude like Trae Young, his daddy played college basketball. He's like an elite level college basketball player. It's like, man.
He ran up on me in Vegas too.
Did he? Oh, like he had beef?
Yeah, Trae Young daddy had some beef with me because I said that you can't build a championship around Trae Young, and he's playing really well right now. So he didn't have real beef; he just like played beef, and I was like, "Oh,
what you say, man? Yeah,
that type of
kind of like
I heard what you said, brother." I was like, yeah, my bad, dog. Just make it TV, babe. Make it TV. That's my go-to when I'm uncomfortable.
Well, until they win the championship, you still kind of right, I guess.
Yeah.
So you kind of.
I still
he's a shooter who can't shoot that well. He's really he's a distributor.
I hope you don't see him in Vegas again, man.
I won't.
How about Paolo Banchero? His mom was a college basketball player. Dad was a defensive end. He thought about being a 6'10" quarterback.
Yeah, it's over, man. It's over for the story of somebody coming up out of nowhere. It is done for y'all. It is all the way done. Somebody did something somewhere.
Also, kind of like that Dennis Rodman story of like I grew up broke and didn't eat and everything.
Yeah,
and
that's over.
Like they pluck you much earlier now. Like they're like, oh, you look like you've got some talent. Come over here.
We're gonna feed you.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
Hey, all your friends, they ain't gonna eat. We're gonna be sure that you eat. I guess I was gonna say LeBron, but yeah, they found LeBron early too.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, when he was like middle school or something. Yeah, so they don't. We ain't gonna get them kind of surprises like that no more.
It's gonna be rare.
Giannis might be the last surprise like that, where it's like comes to the NBA, grows 3 inches, completely changes his body. It's like, and even then, the agent who tried to find Thanasis found Giannis playing, and it was like started years before there. So
I don't know.
The detour. More football. Speaking of an outlier like this. Speaking of someone who's like the Julius Peppers of quarterbacks, should we talk about
that thing?
Should we talk about Josh Allen?
Oh,
I gotta ask you guys because he's along with the Packers. Josh Allen has really like won the NFL week. People have wrapped up the NFL MVP and handed it to him. Partially because it's ridiculous. Lamar had 5 touchdowns last week, but it was against the Giants, and the Ravens probably could have won that game regardless of who was playing. They could have put Derrick Henry at quarterback and had Lamar take his shoulder pads off on the sideline. They would have been fine.
Something I haven't said since those games, that is another credit to my evolution, is the Giants D just as good as that version of the Lions D. Proceed.
Okay. But, the Josh Allen had to put up 48 points. And he needed every single one of them to win, was my only point. So people have handed him the MVP.
Great.
But do you think he's actually wrapped up the MVP? And we can get into a larger conversation of the quarterback landscape. But
Joe, what do you think?
I mean, probably because Saquon's going to have to get 2,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
To probably get serious consideration. And at this point, there's 2 more games. I don't think he's probably going to eclipse that. And you could see them sort of easing up as they get down the stretch here, right? And I guess Lamar, I think there's probably voter fatigue with Lamar. Like no matter how well he plays, he'd have to play that much better over these next couple of games than Josh Allen. So many people have seen Josh Allen ball in like big primetime or big nationally televised games. It's left an impression. So I kind of feel like at this, wrapping it up is strong, but like he would have to play horrible probably to fall out. Don't you think?
With wrapping it up with 3 games left is strong, but he's definitely the leader because of the Lamar fatigue, the narrative. I think before the season started, the Ravens were expected to be contenders, and I think we thought the Bills probably were a long shot, and now they are. You could argue that they're the best team in the AFC, so that all plays into his MVP case. I would say that the only thing that holds back, Lamar is going to have to win by a lot because of the fatigue. If it's a tie, it's going to go to Josh Allen because of the story and all that, and he's never had one and all those things. And you can make an argument that he earns it. He earned it even if his stats aren't as good as Lamar's. But the point that you're making, Joel, about the big games, and we had a tight Heisman race, and I think that this reminds me of that in some ways, in that we watched Hunter more. We saw Hunter more. We read about him more. He was on TV more. That matters. And Josh Allen has had quite a few really impressive games in those, not only prime time, but those big must-watch games. So, the Chiefs wasn't prime time, but we were all watching.
Yeah.
And the biggest play in the game was him definitively doing something. This one last week wasn't prime time. The week before, it wasn't even a big game, but they lost. But it was incredible. He did things that we never see done. And then again, this week, another marquee game. And he had play after play after play. And the dopest play he had didn't even count. And I'm not going to let it die when that man did a chest pass touchdown and turned his back before it was a score. That was incredible. But the only chance that Lamar has left is because Lamar has 2 marquee games left, and Josh Allen doesn't have any. Josh Allen's going up against the Jets and New England. I think no one's going to watch those games. He could pad his stats there, which could help, but no one's going to watch those games, just like no one cared about what Lamar just did against the Giants. And if Lamar slays the Steelers, has his first good game against the Steelers this weekend, that'll be something we all watch and something we all care about. And then he got Christmas Day. If he ball out in front of Beyonce, that could make this conversation, because it'll be a game that we're all watching. It'll be a primetime game, and then we'll all be talking about it. Those 2 games have a chance to, I think, put Lamar back on even playing field with Josh Allen.
Yeah, I feel the same way, but I also am just kind of and maybe I have, with this is probably the college football supremacist in me, and in that the energy around it. The playoffs are going to be going on. There's going to be so much more around that. There's a lot more distractions at this point. I don't think that it's going to be quite the same way. I feel like Josh Allen made his closing statements at just the right time.
Right.
Yeah,
that's a fair point. Before all the other stuff pops up, you're right about that.
Yeah,
but if Lamar
and the final week of the
stupid,
NFL is always just sort of all right, I'll catch y'all when the wild cards start. But,
especially the AFC, we know the 7 playoff teams already. They're more or less clinched in the AFC. So it's sure it's going to be about seeding, but it is going to mean less. I mean, to me, it's people brought up this argument about Joel Embiid versus Jokic and being like, it feels wrong that Jokic should win his third MVP when Embiid shouldn't have one. I thought that argument is hogwash. I think it should go to the best player.
Of course you did. Of course.
But no, but I think the thing is, Lamar is like,
why are we watching Hogs?
The Lamar thing is breaking my brain because he's been the MVP. He's been one of the best football quarterbacks of all time. And I think this is hands down the best season, best football I've ever seen him play. And Josh Allen's right there too, but it's legitimately hard for me. You look at Lamar's numbers and they look like video game numbers, which is why I keep bringing this up. I can't knock him out of this type of thing.
The crazy thing, I mean, he has fewer wins, which we all know isn't a quarterback stat, but we do know it matters when it comes to this. And Josh Allen has a chance to still get the 1 seed, which I think would absolutely sew it up in his favor. But to your point, at one point, all of Lamar's interceptions were because the receivers messed up.
That's still the case.
Right.
It's still the case.
Yes.
I know he had a fumble last week. He's probably had other fumbles that he lost. But and even in the Browns game, he made plays that were dropped. It ain't him. And for him to have a MVP caliber season, an all-time great season, this will end up being one of the all-time great seasons, which is why I paralleled it to the Heisman. It's Genty, all-time great season. All-time great. It just happened to be at a time when we had this other really unique player.
Well, and the crazy thing is I actually think, given the situations around them, I actually think Allen has been just as good, if not better, this year, but it's just so hard to write off Lamar. And that's the type of thing about it where it's
right.
And
I'm so happy that Lamar has a couple, because I don't know if our country could take it after the year we've had. We could take
he would
Josh
lose,
Allen
for sure. I mean,
versus Lamar. Yeah. I mean, given the evidence we have, he would definitely lose. But I don't know if we could take it.
But Josh Allen's also, it's just so interesting. Josh Allen's the most fun player to watch in the league this year, to your point, and those moments have been incredible. And, I think it's not just about the MVP. It's a bigger thing. It's now there is an actual wrestling match for best quarterback, best football player alive. And to me, if you put Josh Allen on the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes on the Bills, the Chiefs improve and the Bills get worse. And I think the same thing. I mean, I think Mahomes is a strict third right now. A strict
You don't hear these speed bumps? We throwing these speed bumps at you. Ooh, maybe a spike strip.
Yeah, have you forgot? I mean, the Roy Jones, y'all must have forgot,
no, he could make me look so stupid because of the playoff performance if he rolls out another 87 QBR and vanquishes everyone.
No.
But
I don't think he's going to do that this year. No. But I do think that his situation is some horse shit. I think if you put him in, ironically enough, I think he'd probably be better in Buffalo than he would be in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Even though we consider Buffalo, Josh Allen having less help than Lamar Jackson. But I think if you put him right, but I'm just saying it's just funny to think that we all agree that he'd be better in Buffalo than Baltimore, but we think that but we also know Lamar Jackson is better around him. But what we haven't seen in a long time is Patrick Mahomes with competent receiver play and protection.
Travis Kelce, man. I mean, he's really at the end. Yeah. This is not. I mean, he's Travis Kelce in name, but not in production and not ability.
They got Xavier Worthy, DeAndre Hopkins, who for whatever reason drop passes now sometimes, but he's past his prime.
Right.
And Juju Smith-Schuster. They're coming injured Pacheco just coming back.
Bro, they had Kareem Hunt out there, and I was like, "What year?" I didn't. I was like,
Kareem Hunt is so washed that people are not even mad that he's working again.
Yeah,
he was really smart to change his number from 27 to 29 because a lot of people don't realize that's still washed Kareem Hunt out there.
Same Kareem Hunt. They got a guard playing tackle. We talk about how the Eagles are so impressive because they got tackles playing guards. We also talk about how guard is the last stop before you become fan. This team, what they are doing to Patrick Mahomes, they're asking a lot of him. I think that you're being a little hasty if you think that you drop Patrick Mahomes in Buffalo and he don't put up numbers. I don't think that'd be as impressive as that.
I don't think he'd be this. Josh Allen's a one-man top 5 offense. And like you're talking about the situation. Yeah, sure. We like Khalil Shakir. Keon Coleman's been slightly better than we imagine. Yeah. You know what they don't have, Domonique? The things you talked about. Anyone who scares you other than 17.
Right. That's fair. That's a fair point.
He has good offensive line, though, right? I mean, like that's one of the things. So
in a run game, things.
Yeah.
So
even if it's the other Cook brother, he's still pretty good.
I guess you think that the Chiefs' offense, or forget the offense, you think the Chiefs would be better with Josh Allen?
Probably not in the high leverage situations that Mahomes is perfect in, but I think their offense, like if you looked, so the thing about Mahomes, he's such a great decision maker that when we actually looked up the stats, it's like they're 9th in DVOA, they're 8th in EPA per play. And it's like you watch them and it's like this is the most mid team ever. But then you compare it to playoff teams and they're only really better than the Texans of the playoff teams' offenses. And it's like, do I think that in a 2-minute drill where you can't make a mistake, Josh Allen will be better than Patrick Mahomes? Probably not. Do I think if you looked at their efficiency stats over a season, would they have a mid offense? No, I think they'd have a top 5 offense. Maybe you just switched them.
Unfortunately, all their games come down to the final 2 minutes.
But it wouldn't.
Yeah, right.
It wouldn't with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I pissed off Philly fans today, but this morning in the pre-show meeting, the fans I thought I was going to piss off was Chiefs fans because the take that I did roll out and just got swamped under pretty boy Jalen was, I don't want Patrick Mahomes in my conference final.
I saw that. I saw you say that.
Yeah.
You don't want a three-peat. You really don't want to see.
It's not.
I really want. As a person, we've been watching the game our whole lives. I want to see somebody go for that, man.
So I had the conversation with Greeny in the break. I agree that the story is better. The game, you would rather see Patrick Mahomes limp for a 6-yard scramble or Lamar and Josh, the 2 best quarterbacks in football right now, going at it in the championship game. Like, I think the things around it will be better with Mahomes, but the game itself, they are going to try to drag that garbage in the mud. Lamar and Josh, they ain't dragging it in the mud. We shooting it out, baby. We shooting it out.
You're saying that, but look, I'm a big Lamar fan, but we've acknowledged we've got to a point where I don't have to pretend that Vince Evans is. Yeah. He would be great if they give him some snaps.
Those were the good old days, man. Those were the good old days.
Yeah, Charlie Batch not as bad as y'all think. We've never seen.
He was bad. Charlie was good.
No, I was laughing because Domonique, you've referenced Charlie Batch for that exact same point before.
Yeah. Because we don't have many to choose from. It's Charlie Batch, it's Tony Banks. It's they never gave Doug Williams a fair shake. That sort of stuff.
Once you got outside of Warren Moon, it was really tough. Yeah, right.
Yeah. They sent Warren Moon to Canada. Like, that's it. That's what we got, man.
I mean, but we've never seen the Lamar Jackson that we've seen in the regular season, the postseason. Like, that's just the fact of the matter, right?
No, I can't.
You know what I mean? So there's no guarantee that we're going to see that Lamar Jackson when the pressure is up, the defenses are better, the weather is worse. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that Lamar is not who he is and that like it wouldn't be fantastic to see him pull it off under these circumstances, but for this year I kind of want to set it aside so I can see the 3-peat or the attempt at a 3-peat.
Yeah, I mean my argument in defense of Lamar Jackson's playoff performance is last year was the first year that he had an offense that was capable of doing the things that was designed to have the flexibility to do the things that we want him to do in the playoffs. And like he didn't have a ton of chances. So like he had limited chances because like they would skip the wild card round and also like they were running primitive kind of offense. And last year was the first time. And this is his second year in a more sophisticated offense. And it just so happens to be the best. Like I have a hard time imagining that we'll get that version of Lamar again, but whatever. Patrick Mahomes is going to win it all anyway. Or no, he's going to lose to Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl.
Or to Josh Allen. By the way, I was just doing some research as we were going. Josh Allen, 89.1 QBR under pressure this year. 10 touchdowns without a single interception against pressure this year. For a team like the Chiefs, back to this original point, that just thrives on pressure conversions and has a defense that's sort of beginning to flounder and might want to have an offense that can put up 38 points. Josh Allen's your guy.
And he's a red zone monster in these low scoring games. Like, not that the Chiefs kick a ton of field goals, but like that matters too. But
Le Batard used to ask these questions about Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay in January. Do you think that Buffalo wouldn't actually? I mean, look, it's not like Kansas City has great weather, but don't you think they might rather play at Arrowhead than up in Buffalo for the playoffs?
Last year that playoff game in Arrowhead was the coldest shit ever happened.
That's
it was
fair
so
point.
Cold that Patrick Mahomes' helmet cracked.
They put out a warning. That's why they put out a warning to people. That's like, you might not want to go out here, but we still got to play. Yeah,
I'm not sure if you were talking Miami or somewhere else. Like, I'm not sure that
dome.
Once you get
build a dome in Buffalo.
Yeah. I also think that there's something to be said for who's like the other team has to play in it also.
Right.
So like, who's more hurt by the weather conditions? Stephon Diggs. Which quarterback would be more hurt by? Like, I can't think of a quarterback that is more equipped for those conditions than Josh Allen.
I mean, they keep running that boy out there, man, and putting everything on their shoulders. I mean, football's still a contact sport. That's the one thing I think about. I was like, that's a lot to put on this man going this deep into the season. So,
that's fair. I mean, it catches up to you late in your career. Ask Cam Newton. Like, Cam Newton didn't start wearing down till later.
Well, Joel, what you said is like pretty interesting stakes because it does feel like this entire offense is built around Josh Allen, and these are some of the things that happen where the last 2 Super Bowls for Mahomes have been so significant because he's carried a team that has had significant flaws.
Defense did it.
Defense is a huge part of it. Chris Jones could have been,
and he had an
MVP
ankle injury.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's like he had to. I mean, he was one of the few people that could fight off that sort of an ankle injury and play at that level, right? So
definitely. But I'm just saying, like, that's the stakes for if this Bills team does go really far or wins a Super Bowl, where we're just like, dude, this guy looks like John Elway mixed with Cam Newton the way he's playing right now.
Yeah, he's fun. All right. Travis Hunter?
Or
go to
college football playoff, either way.
Playoffs, yeah. I think we do playoffs first. Let's do playoffs first. Okay. Joel, you are the most college football person I know. Where do you want to start?
I mean, I think I'll start here. If you're Ohio State, do you want to open the playoffs at home? Given what happened the last time you were at home, I mean, it was chaos. Like, you're getting booed. Ryan Day looked like he was totally lost. And now you got to bring in a team that is thoroughly capable of shutting you down. Tennessee has a really good defense. They're not a great offensive team. They have a very good defense. And Ohio State has this I think it's fair to say that Ryan Day is coaching for his job. Like, maybe if they win a couple games, fine. Like, he'll be okay. But if they lose that opener at home, man, that seems like that would be inadvisable for Ryan Day if he'd like to continue working in Columbus.
Yeah, it's definitely over if they go back-to-back home losses to teams that they are favored over and they're expected to beat. Assuming they beat them and then they go to play Oregon, like, would the heat be off of Ryan Day? Like, I actually don't think if he loses to Oregon, I think the conversation's still there. I guess it depends on how the games happen.
Right.
But
I mean,
he's hot seat.
Imagine if Tennessee beats them and they just plant that orange flag at midfield at Ohio State. That would be an all-time moment for the playoff.
Well, so yeah, I'm so dumb. Dominic, I want to ask you, like, to me, it looked like Ohio State came unglued. Like at the end of that game, like, you know what I mean? Like, that, to me, that was a bad sign. It was like, oh no, you guys are hurt. Like, I mean, it's one thing to lose to Michigan like that, and that's understandable. But the way they responded after, it suggested something to me that, like, oh, like, maybe this is why you all have not looked like what we thought you were going to look like all year. Like, maybe there's some sort of, like, infirmity within the program.
I'm surprised you say that, because you also were a college athlete, and I feel like the ridiculous level of loyalty and aggressiveness that you have at that age, like, I was not surprised at all at how they reacted to that. I didn't have a problem with it. Like, I get why everyone is upset about it, whatever. So this show took the position that we don't want to be commissioners, and we are not going to take, like, we're not going to pretend like we didn't enjoy watching it.
Oh, it was
I'm going to tell my son, don't do that. But I also
Great
Yeah. My son, he got some flag playing tendencies. Unfortunately, I wish he did. This man just when there's a possibility to plant the flag, he is planting the flag in all situations with all people.
I love it. It's the best.
That's great.
That's amazing. Of course you love it. Of course, no. It seems amazing. I mean, I guess it's better than the alternative.
I got a son that is a flag planter. At least apparently, and I'm just like,
yours is younger.
Yeah, I mean, he just I got to negotiate with him on everything, and everything is no.
Exactly. Yeah. Wait till you start negotiating about bigger things. It gets real difficult, and you like me are using words as our weapons.
Oh yeah, we don't have the toolkit that our predecessors had. I always tell my son, I was like, you are the freest Anderson that has ever existed.
I've heard you say that before.
Nobody's ever been more free than you.
That's a great amount of pressure, but also that freedom, he is going to use it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I forgot what we was talking about. Because about
the fighting.
My children.
About fighting.
Yeah,
I saw Jack Sawyer after the game, and I was just like, man, you look like there's one thing to fight, but to be like, hey, bro, they did the fight. I was like, come on, man. Like, just, you wanted to fight, and I'm cool with that. But like all that other stuff, it just seemed a little like, man, they really got in your head, bro.
Yeah. I mean, that particular game definitely was a problem, but because of the circumstances and the stakes and the situation and how bad Michigan was. So that could have caused them to unravel. I think that they probably are on edge. If things start rough, they're young kids. It's going to be hard to bounce back from it. But I wouldn't give up on them altogether. Who do you think? Because the funny thing about this playoff is I think it's made for TV and it's going to make a lot of money and we're all going to enjoy it. But I think we all accept that it's not like a real way to represent who the best team is. Like, we had it more right in the past.
Absolutely.
So who do you think is the best team and who do you think is going to win, I guess?
That's a great question. I mean, so Oregon obviously is the top seed. They're undefeated, but I don't know what it will take for me. Like, Oregon is always like the B-side in a game. Right, you know what I mean? It's like they're playing against somebody, and that team is sort of like, that's where the drama and that's where the expectations are, and Oregon just happens to be there. But Oregon's really good. But I still think, if I had to guess, man, Georgia, man. I think if Georgia, I guess I want to know how Carson Beck is first. Like, I want to know how healthy, because he got hurt in the SEC championship, and I want to see how he recovers from that. But in terms of overall talent, and really the thing about Georgia, and you'll feel me on this, the violence. Georgia plays with a tremendous amount of violence. And it is really hard. Like, they will wear your out, man. And Texas is already folded twice under that. You know what I mean? And I think Texas is a really good team, but Georgia is just that. And if they can put it all together for a few games, I feel like they probably are the favorite. But, if Oregon won, I wouldn't be surprised. If Ohio State won, I wouldn't be surprised. But I tend to lean Georgia just probably because I've seen them in this, and I think they have the most talent overall, I guess.
I was looking at the bracket trying to see, because there are a couple other things that I'm looking out for. Is like, who's the team that's going to get their doors blown off and we're going to be like, oh, they didn't belong here. And I think, like, you start to look at SMU, maybe Boise, but the problem is Boise, SMU, and Penn State are all the teams that fall into that category, or maybe Indiana, and Boise, SMU, and Penn State are all like together. So one of them ain't going to see no trouble, like real trouble, until Georgia in the semifinals. But yeah, I look on the other side and like it could. Clemson's so talented though, even though they aren't all that good. Like, I don't know that there is anybody in here that, unless it's till we get to the semis, is there somebody that you think is just? I mean, Indiana versus Notre Dame, but Notre Dame ain't the type to put up a big number. It's
so weird because Notre Dame, like, if you could. The thing is, you cannot throw out the Northern Illinois loss. Like, an elite national championship team cannot lose to Northern Illinois. And so that's what I always come back to, because if you throw that out, you're like, oh, they're a very tough team. They got a good running game. They can throw a little bit. The defense is strong. They're a real disciplined team. But you lost to Northern Illinois, though. You know what I mean? And that's kind of, I can't get over that. But like, Notre Dame would be like a really good foil for Georgia. I feel like that would be a very good physical, violent game that everybody would really enjoy. But yeah, I don't. This is one of those years that because there's not a great quarterback.
Yeah,
there's not a great team. So I don't know where to go with it. Like you said, Clemson has a lot of talent, but I don't think they'll go to Texas and win. But then I look at Texas and I'm like, Quinn Ewers isn't that. Like, they're not the great running offense. You know what I mean? So there's just a lot of meh in college football.
I don't think they'll go to I mean, I think that was one of the things I was anticipating. We're going to 12 teams. Like, somebody going to get their whooped. But now we're actually in the playoffs, and I'm looking at it and it's like, actually, I don't really see
I'm going to say this
on the bracket.
I'm going to say this as a TCU fan. Penn State, handle business, man. Penn State, handle business, man. I mean, this is look, billionaires have bought a lot of things this year. Don't let them buy a college football, a college football playoff win. Like, that would be abominable to me. And also, Penn State, if you are who you say you are, you're not supposed to lose to SMU on your home field.
Charlie, is there anything else you want to cover in the playoffs?
No, I mean, the Ryan Day storyline is the one I'm most fascinated by, because if he goes out the door without a national championship there, you're going to look at the list of talent that has come through Ohio State in the years that he was the head coach. And the question is going to be like, how is it possible that this guy who won 10 games a year did not win a lot more?
Let me ask you all this question. Would you all fire Ryan Day? Because I think this is like sort of interesting, because I think too often fans overlook how hard it is to win. Right? Like to have a 10, 11 win program is amazing. Right?
You know, I think go ahead, Charlie. You go first. I'll follow up.
What I would say is it is really hard to win. It is also really hard to imagine how you don't win with CJ Stroud, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Garrett Wilson.
They played against
Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr. And I know they're playing against that Georgia team, but that amount of offensive talent with that quarterback in college football is so overwhelming. And the fact that they have just continued to stream in, the Jeremiah Smiths, the talent that just seems so overwhelming. Like at the beginning of this year, we talked about the cost of that roster and how Ohio State was leaps and bounds more talented than anyone else this year. And they've built this finesse football team, and he's a finesse coach. And I don't know if you have unlimited budget and that's your program, if you can get anyone. Why settle for Ryan Day, who can have that much talent and do the least with it possible?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, I think my reflex is to like take the position that he's won a lot, and like, as you're asking for a lot, winning a championship is sometimes just based on luck, and it's just like, hey, he's kept his team good. The recruiting hasn't fallen off. Like, the program is fine, and like that would be my reflex. But then I think about how the floor is so different in different places in college football. And the floor there is so damn high. Like, when's the last time they were just bad out of it? Like, I'm not the college football like expert, so
they had the Luke Fickell year. When Luke Fickell was there, they went 6-6. This is the year before Urban Meyer was there, I think. Right. This was when they ran out Tressel, and then they got Urban Meyer. They went 6-6 that one year, right? So that's the thing I'm saying.
So I guess my question is, like, was Tressel great? Was Urban Meyer great?
Urban Meyer was great.
Was Ryan Day great? Like, these are coaches that all have, like, what are the chances that you hit it again on another great coach? Like,
very, very high when Mike Vrabel is sitting there.
Well, I feel like it's just as likely you could hire a bad coach.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Texas has everything that Ohio State has.
Right.
And proximity to more talent, mind you. And they've won three Big 12 titles in like 28 years, something like that. Right. So I feel like a lot of people like USC, like, well, what's wrong with USC? They're sitting right in the middle of they're in a talent hotbed. Kids want to go play at USC, but like, where is USC? It's just, I feel like it can happen to you quicker than you think. Like, Miami should be good. Miami should always be good. Why are they not good?
The talent is down there in Miami, but there are like roadblocks to like having a perpetually successful program in Miami. Like it's not fun to go to the games. Like I imagine that's difficult.
That is true. They don't have
and you have to compete for your talent with a lot of different places. Like Miami is not a traditional power. And you
got whiny fans like Dan Le Batard.
Yeah, it's tough. Who snitch on the program and get him in trouble because he hates his own alma mater. Goodness
I didn't say I wouldn't privy.
Yeah. Get nervous now. Don't get scared now.
I'm beefing with everyone on this show.
Yeah, I know. Hey man, don't put me in there. You know?
Yeah, I'm sorry. We'll cut you out for that for the damn Le Batard shots. I called that man or text that man on his birthday. Did he say thank you? Nope.
Man.
We done with Dan Le Batard.
Wait, are you supposed to say thank you when somebody? I guess you are. Yeah, when somebody says happy birthday, appreciate you, bro. There you go. You're right. Yeah.
Give me a thumbs up.
He doesn't know how to do that. There's no shot.
I sent it to his AOL. He should have hit me back. It's Yahoo, whatever he goes with. He's a hotmail dude.
Yeah. Was he one of the people that don't celebrate his birthday? Because there's a lot of, especially men in our generation or slightly older, we don't believe in celebrating birthdays.
I'm not a big birthday guy either, but if somebody texts me, I'm gonna text them back. And I think Dan cares about his birthday.
Hold on.
He be
hold on. You're not a big don't. Domonique has rarely gotten serious. He actually stopped us in a green room before a podcast episode and was like, "Do not do anything for my birthday. I will be legitimately upset if you get me something for my birthday."
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
But if you text me, I say thanks.
Yeah. I listened. And I didn't text you because I wanted to respect that.
I appreciate it.
Wow, man. You got to celebrate yourself, brother. Every year is a gift.
Yeah, I agree. I celebrate myself. I don't need to wait for a birthday. I don't know. It's weird. It's not about me. I was about to make fun of Dan for trying to dress cool and dyeing his beard.
Yeah, I mean look at that. See, man, you got to age with grace.
Yeah,
age with
we
grace.
Discussed this before. I'm working on getting my grays, but I'm not as stressed as Dan whiny. I don't want to be so mean to Dan.
I don't know either.
I mean, y'all started out mean, to be honest.
Yeah,
I mean, you went from Philly all up and down the eastern seaboard. You're just like, we're just going to start from Philly and work our way down.
Yeah. I'm out of nice things to say. I love you guys. Appreciate it.
This last thing, a lot of people have a lot of opinions about what Travis Hunter should do in his life. Okay. It's been big conversation on the internet. I don't know if people have been following it. Okay.
Yep.
He has a young lady in his life. And let me just, to all the old heads talking to him, no young boy has ever listened to any old man when it comes to the decisions they make with a partner. Okay.
Yeah.
Like he does not hearing you. He's only going to dig in further. And I'm certain Dion knows this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, look, I go back, I read the first big feature on him in Sports Illustrated. It's the Neon Dion cover.
Right.
And he's talking about his girlfriend in the piece. I think his name was Carolyn Chambers or something like that. So like he knows like what this is about when you elevate your partner or something like that. So like just don't leave a boy alone. Let him enjoy this. Like don't talk to him about it. It's over. You're not gonna whatever she's working with is gonna work on him a lot better than whatever you trying to bring to him. Okay. Let it go.
Also, it's just I don't know. It's like it's one of those situations where it's like feigned concern. Also.
Yeah.
It's like y'all don't know him. You don't actually care about him. It's like you're just trying to get in on this conversation. But that's enough. Oh, I do have one more question before we let you go. So I'm a listener of the Press Box even prior to them adding you. So now I like that you're there. But have you decided on the name of your feature?
I gotta look. So you actually came up with a good one, and I gotta look at the text messages because I sent it to Brian. Wait, which one was it? Domonique, which one did you send me, man?
I'll look it up. I sent you a bunch. There might have been some repeats.
These were some good ones.
The one of them that was in the front running, which we all pushed back against, was the Joel Enchilada was a front runner. Which
the Joel Enchilada.
It was cute, but I don't think. It's just like it depends. You can't do when there's a serious topic. You can't be like, all right, and get ready for the Joel Enchilada.
Yeah, the next one, the Joel Enchilada. It does not work out.
Yeah, it's not flexible.
You said Joel School. And I was like, you know what? I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, this is the ones that I gave you. I gave you Joel Line Stan, Ace in the Joel. Joel Train. Joel Mining, second in Joel, because you kind of sometimes do like a recap of other stuff. Yeah. And so it's like second down in Joel.
I like that.
Joel Rush.
Joel Rush, okay.
Joel Dog New Tricks. Or Joel Dog, you tricks. And then there's Joel Schools, which I close it out with my favorite one. But yeah, I think I just wanted to hear Brian say Joel Train.
You know what? I think Brian would he would love to do that. So right, I'm gonna run these by them. We record on Thursday, and we'll get back to you. But I'm gonna let everybody know that you came up with Joel School if we end up on Joel School.
Right, so I appreciate it. Well, everyone can go check out that podcast on The Ringer, and also Joel's writing on The Ringer. Charlie, you have a smirk on your face like you got one last joke to get off your chest.
It's too inappropriate. I'll wait till we're done recording.
All right. Okay. Thanks, everybody. We out.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.